Welcome to Random Thoughts from Random Geeks. We are your resident random geeks. I'm Shellbot. Over here we have one of these areas.
Duffy.
This way. We have Duffy. And below us we have BK Dub or Wheeler. And between the three of us, we have over 30 years, actually more than that, now that I'm looking at it, of IT experience and probably more than enough toxic work environment experience to shake a stick at. So we know quite a bit about toxic work environments, and that's what today's topic is going to be over. But let's talk about what this show is really about. We have taken it upon ourselves to look around the web, find some news, and want to talk to it. Give you our crappy opinion on these crappy news items. So
our opinion is not crappy.
Our opinion is so crappy. How can you say our opinion is not crappy?
Our opinion is just as good as everybody else's opinion.
And everybody's opinion is crappy.
No, they're mediocre.
That's your opinion.
And that's crap.
Anyway, that's our job. Your job is to tell us down in the comment section how crappy our opinion really is. So, and flame us. So, let's have some fun. So, like I was saying, our first topic is toxic work environments and toxic companies, or what might look like toxic companies from the outside. So, Wheeler, go for it.
Yeah, so, the main reason I want to talk about this was a story that went around earlier this year, but about a entertainment company where it was kind of brought to light the toxic kind of like frat house mentality that happened at the workplace and everything. And so, they got into a lot of trouble because they made a lot of news. And, and they vowed that they're going to change and do everything better. But, it kind of wonder for larger companies, when they say they're going to change and make everything better, do they really care that much about actually doing that because they're still making money? But, if people who supported them were to stop, buying their product or whatever, would that drive more meaningful change than them just saying they're going to change?
I definitely think if it started impacting their dollar, the bottom line, the overall company return, right? I think they would have to do that. I think we've seen that with other large tech and media industry and corporations and stuff. They've kind of had to change their stance or approach or staffing or whatever it might be because stuff was starting to be impacted, whether from work shortages or from bad publicity. But I think another important topic too, though, is, and you kind of mentioned this before we get the ball rolling this evening, would people actually stop buying their products? Boycott and not purchase the product? Do they care enough about what's happening with inside the company that they care to stop taking the goods they produce and consuming them? Or, they just they don't care how the donuts are made. They just want to eat the donuts,
Right.
So to speak.
You don't want to know what's in the stuff that goes on Krispy Kreme donuts. You just know it tastes delicious.
You don't want to know what's in that dog.
Won't go there. So there was a rather large media company. Well, we won't name names, but they were gotten to a little bit of hot water earlier this last year, I guess it was, about filming a movie in a certain country that wasn't very nice to certain people of a certain culture. And did that really matter? To some people, it absolutely mattered. But did it hurt their bottom line? I don't really know that it really did.
Well, I don't think because of the issues people had with it, it hurt the bottom line. I think the only thing that hurts your bottom line is what it usually is it a product people want or agree with, and if so, they're going to buy it regardless. I think
Exactly.
when it comes to workplaces, I think one of the biggest first steps is, my current employer and some employers I've had in the past have been great, but we've all shared an employer or two that different areas we were in or the things we were working on, it became very toxic. And those pieces and parts, like, you can't breed change without exposing it, like a lot of big tech companies are have recently been seeing, overworked hours, bad culture. Everyone, like, PR is trying to say it's good, but when the employees come out, you get all these Reddit threads and social posts and things like that it's like, hey, overworked, underpaid, felt backed into a corner, and but everyone still wants the product. Everyone's still going to keep using it. They don't care what the employee's going through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always funny though too. There's always seems to be, well, I can't say always. There very, very regularly seems to be a small contingency of people that will also fight tooth and nail that says, oh, no, that they're just trying to gaslight everyone and say that this isn't really happening, whenever there's just so much other news coming out. I find that interesting, particularly,
Here's the flip side of it too, though.
Oh, go ahead.
And instead of just looking at the negative, because any toxic workplace has it in the name, right? It's toxic.
Yeah.
Toxic environment. I think workplace is a bad connotation. Like, toxic environment, because it could be home, it could be work, it could be relationships, friendships, whatever. But especially when it comes down to, like, consumers and products and how it's made and how consumers consume, do you think certain good reputations actually help their business more? So on the flip side, like, it is known that this business is actually really, treats their employees really well, has maybe a similar quality product or service, but they treat their employees better by better pay, better hours, better benefits, whatever it might be. Do you think certain people, or even yourselves, will default to those services and goods, knowing that information?
I would. I mean, if it's similar, and because the other thing too, if they have a good reputation, then people are going to want to work there, so they're going to get good talent, so they're going to continue to make good products, and it's going to be made the right way. So you may be more inclined to support that.
But
do you currently do that for anything?
An extension of that question then is having all of that same context, but adding on to that, if the product, similar product, but it costs X% more, would you still buy that product? Would you still support that company?
Depends on the percentage.
Yeah.
See, to me, that's the kind of the conditional that you're looking at going, how much can I support that company?
And it has to be within reason too. Or I'm always going to be searching for alternatives. Like, if they're just super undercutting, that's one thing. But I mean, there's certain rideshare services that or delivery services, like food, groceries, that kind of thing, that the one I pick, not the cheaper of some of the options available. But the reason I pick it is I always get quality products and service. The people providing the service, the experience through the apps or customer service when there's an issue with something, it's better, and they've been known historically to pay their employees better than some of their competitors. So my wife and I, we typically default to them, even if it's like, it's a few bucks more, which, depending on how you look at it, could be a high percentage. We'll still pick, the one that we've seen and heard has better treatment of employees, staff, better service, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can absolutely, and I agree with that. I'm the same way. You know, if I know that I'm getting a better quality product, whether it be because the company's better or the employees are better treated, I will definitely go that route. Um, but if it's if we're saying apples to apples, I will, go for the cheaper. I mean, I think that's just human nature. But
Yeah, but
you know,
yeah, but sometimes going cheaper, you get bit for that too.
oh
You may try
well,
it
yeah,
once, you're like, oh well, I'm never doing this again.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
happened
it's
plenty of times.
and one thing I heard someone say, the older, well-off guy told me one time was how he buys stuff. That always stuck in my head. And the way he phrases it is low end, low use, low end, high use, high end. And he was like, a
Yes,
perfect example is if I'm gonna do something once or twice, why go out and buy like the top line thing? Like
yes,
this El Cheapo product gets the job done, right? But if it's something that I'm gonna be constantly using, like my computer to do work, which makes me money, or my bed to sleep in, which gives me rest, I go for the like a higher end quality that's gonna serve me better because I'm using it a lot more often. And so typically the quality of the product goes up as well.
yeah, and I think that's a wise point as well. And I've found that in my as I've matured as well, that's a very smart financial decision. Um, so
yeah. I made that decision with my barbecue grill. The first grill I bought when I moved to my house, it was a cheaper one. I was like, I mean, how good do you need a grill to be? It lasted 4 years. Then I had to replace it. And I was like, okay, if I'm replacing a grill every 4 years, I'd rather just spend the money on a higher end grill that's going to last me 10 to 15 years, and I'll get way more value out of it. So that's
yeah,
what I did.
yeah, absolutely. So dealing with so jumping back to our bro coding main topic here. So let's talk more about this toxic environment. So we're and just so the audience knows, we're trying to keep it generic so
Civil.
no one gets in trouble. Um, and we're gonna just kind of keep it agnostic to where we keep chatting here. Um, so with bro coders, in particular, because the three of us have been around them for ever.
A while.
We've all had our experiences with ivory
you keep-
towers and bro coders.
You keep saying brokers. You might want to re-elaborate what a broker is.
Well, go for it, Duffy.
Well, I mean, so I think what you're trying to hit on is in a toxic workplace, there is a slang or jargon for bros. I'm using your finger quotes here, but you have the bros in the workplace where it's like the chummy friends help friends and friends get friends positions, promoted opportunities, that kind of thing. So it's not like an equal opportunity chance. It's the
Correct.
bros club, like clique or whatever. Those toxic groupings that a lot of things when you start looking at diversity and inclusion and being an ally in the workforce and just in life, that it's like that exists. That's a problem we face every day, and so a lot of these toxic workplaces tend to have those. And I will say too though that you have to take it with a grain of salt because companies go through phases. Sometimes it's something that happens and it grows organically, unfortunately, and you don't know. A company doesn't know till they know, and it's at that point though how they address it, which is what really matters. Like everyone can make mistakes, things happen, but how you address it or handle the situation, I think speaks volume. Like, especially for me as an employee working for an employer, how they handle those situations is something I always keep a focus on because if someone's not part of the bro club, then that means anyone could not be part of the bro club at some point. And that's not something I'm comfortable with. Like, I want a fair and equal opportunity. Like, the person who works next to me works just as hard. The reason I get something should be because I earned it, not because I have a better connection to someone,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think we all have. I know the three of us, and just some background. The three of us, we worked at a an interesting company, and that's where we met and we became friends. And so with that, as we departed and moved on, I'm currently at a company and was am in an environment and was in an environment where there was a just to tell a quick story, a situation where there was a bureau coder that was being aggressive, we'll say, to a person of a person of color, a lady of color, and wasn't very nice to her. And it wasn't like any of us could really do much of anything other than allow things the situation to roll. Unfortunately, she was able to get management involved, but it was just very uncomfortable for the entire floor because it was in the middle of the entire floor. And that's just, fortunately, it was a singular incident with one person, and most people didn't like this one person. I'm still aggravated with this one person. But still, it's just, that's just, that in and of itself is a toxic environment. The company, I still feel, didn't have a proper response in the immediate of it, but is what it is.
That brings up a good point too, though, of company cultures, and not even just HR. I mean, I think HR is a tough position to be in. It can be done very well, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for this person, it took that escalation and also how they handle it could go either way, right? You never know. And but what's interesting is we look at big company versus small company. Like, what size company are you at? And then based on that size of company, how well is their process established? Because those processes are difficult. And I've been in a few companies. I think Wheeler has been in some as well, where if you just look at the way technologists move in the field, you usually have to change jobs because they don't have a good scale or process in place for how to get promoted. Like, how do you get to the next level as a technologist? I mean, that could be like a whole conversation topic, because a lot of companies don't have a process, which is why you get a lot of attrition and people switch companies. I've seen multiple people leave a company, go work somewhere else, which is great. They learned new stuff. Then they came back, and the biggest reason they did it was for title increase. And, with the title increase, a bigger jump is like 3 or 5%. And they earned it. It wasn't just a money grab. So it's interesting to see like small companies versus small, medium, large, and how they handle HR, how they handle like how do you, especially in the IT field, how do you get promoted? Like, go into management, go into leadership, go into an architect. Like, I'm starting at your company, and it used to be you work at a company 20 years and retire, but with today's world and technology, it's like 2 years. 2 years seems to be about the average, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I haven't been at a job for more than 3 years.
I'm coming up on 5 years, and it's the longest tenure I've had at a position.
What? You've been at your spot for 5 years?
It'll be 5 years in May of this coming year.
You want to hear a sad thing? Here's a sad fact about Wheeler. My first marriage lasted longer than any job I've had.
Wow.
It lasted about 3.5 years.
Wheeler facts.
Maybe one day you'll break that. I don't know.
Probably not.
I mean, I can think of some good jokes there, but I feel like it's a low blow.
Yeah, that would be kind of a low blow.
But in terms of toxicity in the workplace and stuff, and how companies handle adversity and that type of toxicity when it arises, can really help, determine, well, one, the reputation of the company and whether you want to go there or not, and also, how other people perceive the company. Now, I was at one place where they sent out a survey to all the employers. How much do you trust management? How much do you trust the direction of the company? All this stuff, and that pretty much everybody across the board just super low marks for all of it. They didn't trust management. They didn't think they were going the right direction. All this stuff. The response was to have all the employees take a course on how to be better employees. That was the response. When I saw the email, and we had an open floor plan, and they had a lot of the executive people kind of mixed in amongst us so they'd be more accessible and everything. I read that email and I just cursed out loud saying, what, WTF, I'm not doing that. And the one guy he was like a senior vice president or something, but I was friends with him. But he looked over at me and just sort of smiled and shook his head. and I was like, because that's not the response that you should do when you get that type of survey and that type of survey results. And that's just dumb. And it's like, come on, people, if you want to make yourselves better, you actually have to respond the right way to that type of situation.
Or, you could always respond whenever an employee leaves by suing them. Isn't that right, Wheeler?
I didn't sue anybody.
Well, no, but, they sued your new employer.
They didn't sue. They
the
idea of legal action, yes. Even though they had no grounds.
Yeah, well, our we'll call it our manufacturing company, former manufacturing employer. Well, I'll let you tell the story, Wheeler. It's your story to tell.
My story?
Yeah.
I don't know how I can keep it generic enough without throwing out actual accusations.
Fine. Fine.
Let's
leave. Moving on.
Let's leave past.
I can just say
the past.
I can just say the Wheeler rule.
The Wheeler rule. Wheeler rule is not to talk about where you're going to.
It's kind of like Fight Club.
Just say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think that's a different issue, right? Like
that's totally different issue.
When you leave an employer in general, I think people have forgotten what's required. And what's interesting is if you look at different countries,
nothing's required.
Exactly. In the U.S., other countries are a little different, but in the U.S., absolutely nothing's required.
Nothing's required.
And one of the funnest things I always see too is time off. Like, and I'm guilty of this as well. That I got used to having to justify taking my PTO. It's like part of my job is I get time off, right? And I got used to at companies having to justify taking time off. It's like if it wasn't good enough reason, they might not approve it. And whether it be like I felt that way, the workplace made me feel that way, like, depends on the place I was at, depends on the reason, whatever it might be. But it's my time off. I shouldn't have to explain it. So something I do now, and I'm especially cognizant of, is someone asks for time off, my immediate response is like, awesome, I hope you have fun. I will see you when you get back. Let me know if you need anything. Like, I don't ask where they're going, what they're doing. Like, if they care to share, I'm happy to have a conversation. But my immediate response is, I try to keep it short, encouraging, and I want to make sure they know it's cool and we're good, especially for all the works. Like, you can't leave, like, as you have a deliverable. I mean, that's just, it's like, okay, that might not get approved. But otherwise, like, things are slow, you got everything shored up, like, go for it. Like, I don't care going on vacation, you're taking a U day, like, that's not my business,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but real quick back onto the whole thing about the wheeler rule. How that situation was handled is also part of toxicity in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes directly from management down.
Yeah.
And a toxic manager or a toxic leadership. Let me put it that way.
There we
Not
go.
necessarily a manager, but
Yeah.
toxic leadership. And that can go from highest level all the way down.
Yeah.
So and just to take a step back to I was just pulling that. I wanted to know, and I'll share this real quick. So 2-week notice came from, I'll pull this up here. I thought this was interesting. It actually came from HR. So the 2-week notice came from HR people. So the people that are asking for it, that's hysterical.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense though, because
it does.
that way they can plan.
Yeah.
Because if you just get hit up with, "Hey, I'm done. Yesterday was my last day, by the way," type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not required. Well, it depends on. I think it depends on the state. But we're in Florida, in the swamps, like in the middle of the swamps, no Wi-Fi. I don't know how we're doing this. Go look in the swamps; they'll find us. But in Florida,
there's an alligator walking around with a salad on his head.
I mean, to be fair, that could be anywhere in Florida.
I have my alligator in my backyard.
But he's a mobile hotspot.
Florida is an at-will employment state, so what that means is you or your employer can terminate the employment at any time.
Employment at any point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you could literally walk off the job that day. It's just a courtesy,
right?
And in a professional setting.
It's a social contract. I mean, that's where it comes from. It's just saying, I'm being cordial, and anything more than bye is me being nice to that employer and wanting to leave it on good grounds.
Yeah, it's being respectful.
Yeah, and in the long run, it's it's really to leave a door open just so I'm not being a dick.
Yeah, actually. So we had where I'm at now, we had a guy leave about just a little over, probably about 18 months ago. And he left on good terms. I'm not sure what he went to do, but because I didn't really talk to him a whole lot back then because I was still pretty new. But now he's back. So yeah,
exactly.
He's back and he's happy, and doing good stuff. But yeah, and they wanted him back when he, and stuff like that because he was a good employee and he left on good terms. So
yeah. I mean, there are definitely places that I would never in my lifetime go back to, and I think we all know. I mean, I think we all agree that there's this manufacturing company that we would never go back to. But it's a matter of. On the flip side of that is like you never close a door on people. It's a matter of. It's a matter of you only close the door whenever you absolutely have to.
Well, and I think a lot of it too is just not wanting to screw your coworkers over, because typically
exactly
they're not most of the time, they're not the problem.
Yeah.
So you don't like put them in a bad spot and
except for
make
YouTube. You suck.
Always
their
a
life
problem.
rough.
Actually, at one job, when my manager left, he sent out an email to all the people he was managing and stuff like that. And he was like, you know, always fight for what you believe in, always push hard, don't give in, and stuff like that. And that was one of the reasons why he left, because he was fighting for something, and they weren't acquiescing him. So he just eventually got frustrated and left. But he was like, don't just give up and just let yourself settle in a place you're not happy. If you push for change, if change doesn't happen, then do what you got to do. But but he basically just said to always stand up for yourself and don't let yourself be pushed around, even if you are just an employee, versus a manager or a C-level or whatever, So yeah, those are good words by him.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I think we pretty much covered that.
Right.
Yeah, I guess going back all the way back around.
Way back.
Like, if you guys know, like if there's a product that you've been using and you find out that the company is very, very toxic, will you absolutely stop supporting them and stop using their product? Or will you be like, well, the product's pretty darn good, I can't see myself not using it, type of thing?
I think it's situational based. And unfortunately, I think some people, part of the situation is also income, right? Like, do they have an alternative they can use? Like, is it something they actually need, or is it just a want, right? Like, if it's something they need, they might not have an alternative, and it might be because that they don't have an income for the more expensive alternative that's better, or better company, better culture, whatever.
Right.
So I think it's kind of situational. I would lean towards almost not doing it. But in some cases, there's certain products that they're the company makes it. Like if you want it, you have to. Like
because some companies get that complex of like, we're too big to fail. We can have employees that aren't happy, but they can leave. We'll just replace them, type of thing.
Yeah.
And so they're not they're not inclined to make the change, though, because they think it's more the employee's fault than the employer's fault that the situation is what it is, type of thing.
To me, if it's an entertainment company that is producing a product that no one else can produce, I will avoid it. Just if it's something that I really feel strongly about, I can ignore it. It's not that big of a deal. If a new movie was coming out that I felt really strongly about, that I didn't like their practices, big deal. If it were something like a consumer product and it were, I felt that it were, they were polluting something that, an area or something like that, then that's a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do.
I think too, like there's a couple products I use for development and professional work that there's only one company who makes it.
Right.
And so
and that falls
one
in
thing and the one nice thing that I've noticed too, though, is sometimes it will go to that degree where it gets like toxic or have issues, whatever, then the product quality starts falling, and due to that, someone else kind of emerges in the market that ends up being an alternative for it, because people are like, hey, this product's going downhill for whatever reason it may be, and we're tired of it being developers. Developers will, open source community will create something probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing about the developer community, is they're very opinionated. I mean, that's what this whole show is based on.
You should not write opinionated code.
Well, but I mean, it's the whole developer community is opinionated, but also it's there's an ebb and flow of business and how people in general see things. So whenever one company screws up, another is bound to come along and take its place.
Yeah.
So
like Netflix and Blockbuster.
Exactly.
There's one company.
So I mean, if
there's probably people listening looking up Blockbuster. What is Blockbuster?
Yeah, we're old.
Well,
back to my day.
Oh, is that thing that was in the Captain Marvel movie? That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible movie. Have you seen the Morbius trailer?
I have not watched that yet. No.
It's so good.
Is it?
So good.
Should we watch it?
Well, we can watch it.
Yeah, no, I keep meaning to watch it. I just haven't got around to watching it. It's like, oh yeah, Jared Leto's. I did watch the Batman trailer though.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
I don't know what to think of it. Like, I'm more interested in the Riddler than I am in Bruce Wayne and Batman. I'm kind of interested how he's going to play out, but I don't really care for the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm not really. I'm not really looking forward to the new Batman. Although I thought they kept saying they were going to bring what's his face back. But anyway, here's Morbius.
You need a doctor? I am a doctor. I should have died years ago. People all over the world have my disease. I'm here to find a cure. We have to push the boundaries, take the risks. If you're gonna run, do it now.
Dr. Michael Morbius, you've been missing for 2 months.
When you're a stranger,
Then you were found on a container ship that washed up off of Long Island.
faces look ugly. When you're alone,
I love this version of that song. Sorry.
It does sound good.
So cool.
What did you do to yourself, Doctor?
I wish I knew. I went from dying to being more alive than ever.
it worked.
Not exactly. I have increased strength and speed and some form of bat radar. What else can I do?
I can fly.
There are limits. There has to
Quit
be.
ruining it.
There's something inside of me that wants to hunt and consume blood.
Michael.
When you're a stranger, faces come
And you control it.
I don't know.
Half the city wants to kill you.
We haven't had anything this good since that thing in San Francisco.
The other half wants to control you.
Hey, Dr. Mike. You and
that
I
was
should
a
stay
bit
in
of a-
touch. I'd do anything to save a life. I don't know what I'm capable of.
You save lives, you don't take them.
Are you here to heal the world? Or to destroy it? the hell are you, man?
I am Venom. I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
Let me get rid of these cigarettes.
Nice.
I like that part at the end there. All right, that was good. That was good.
I know, right?
I'll admit I'm not the biggest Jared Leto fan.
I know,
but he looks right for this part.
Yeah.
I've read some Morbius stories in comics a while back. I think I even had I bought some of the series when it came out like in the late 90s. They had a Morbius series, and I had some of those. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Do you know if it's going to be PG-13 or R?
I think they're aiming for a PG-13.
Okay, because I know the first Venom movie was R, but then the second Venom movie is 13.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think they're trying to stay with PG-13 because they lost a little bit of the audience going to full
Right.
R.
I'm kind of curious, Michael Keaton's character.
Yeah.
Because
so,
he's in Spider-Man.
Exactly. He's playing the same character.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So they are crossing the streams. Actually, you never saw the Venom Let There Be Carnage, did you?
I have not seen that one yet.
Duffy,
No.
have you?
Not yet.
Do you guys want a spoiler or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Which, by the way, Shang-Chi is coming on to Disney Plus on the 12th. So I'll get to see it then.
I would say, yeah, I recommend Shang-Chi. I really enjoyed it. It doesn't, so Shang-Chi doesn't really do for Asian culture what Black Panther did for African culture, but it's still a really fun movie, and it does touch a lot about some of the different myths and stuff and Chinese legend and stuff like that. It was really cool. And the fight scenes, especially in the first half of the movie, top notch. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah.
I'm looking
And
forward to seeing that
Morbius.
one. Maybe
Morbius looks good.
Okay. Yeah, Morbius does look good. Maybe one day I'll get to get back into the theater. I really want to get back to the theater to see the new Ghostbusters.
Yes, that's getting me super interested.
Paul Rudd, man.
Because of Paul Rudd. It's all about Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
It's always about Paul.
It's always Paul Rudd.
Duffy, will you ever go back to the movie theater?
We saw Black Widow.
In the theater?
Yeah. In the theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you go to the theater to see that?
I did.
Yeah.
My wife wanted to, but I was also going to.
It was a good
as
excuse.
well.
Yeah,
was a good
I went, and then I saw. Well, my wife and I each saw Dune. We went on separate days, but we saw Dune in the theater.
I can't blame her. I want to go a different day than you two.
Yeah, it's mostly for our daughter. Shut up.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be caught in a theater with you either, Wheeler. I've been in the theater with you.
I know.
Kind of smell.
Yeah, you do a lot of touchy feely stuff.
Yeah.
It's very
Kind
uncomfortable.
of weird being in a dark theater with me.
Yeah,
It's exactly like I go to the theater with them.
I know.
But anyways, yeah, Morbius looks good. I'm wondering.
Morbius does look good.
Wondering who else will show up in there. I like the references to Venom.
Yeah.
Because Sony's like, we got to start tying our universe together.
Yeah, it kind of. But the thing is, it makes me nervous that they're going to completely pull Spider-Man out of the MCU.
I can't talk. I'm not allowed to speak. You guys don't want spoilers. Anyways,
I know.
So at least Sony's doing it a little bit better this time than they did with the Andrew Garfield movies. Like when they had the second movie and they basically showed like that one room that had all the different armors of all the different things, and they're trying to bring in the Sinister Six, and they were rushing things so much that, and then Andrew Garfield was a terrible Spider-Man in my opinion, and those movies were bad. But yeah, that fell apart fast. I think Sony is working more with Marvel now to get their non-Spider-Man but Spider-Man universe thing set up better than what they did before. So I do appreciate that they're taking more time with it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I know I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen the Venom, whatever Carnage yet, but
it's enjoyable. It's nothing great, and it's one of the shorter Marvel movies. It's like 92 minutes. It's very short, but
really?
it's fun. I enjoyed it, and I also like Woody Harrelson a lot, so I thought he did a really good job in that movie too.
Mm-hmm. Have y'all have you seen or are y'all going to go see the Eternals?
Yeah, I'll probably go on Tuesday, and then my wife's not as interested in it, so I don't know if she'll go right away or if she'll just wait till it comes out on video or something. But I'll probably go on Tuesday since the theater here is cheap on Tuesdays. Discount Tuesdays. I like it.
I didn't realize it was Discount Tuesday.
Oh, it's actually so. We went when we saw Dune. We each watched it on the big screen there, and she paid $16.50, and I paid $10.50.
Wow.
Yeah, so $6 difference, and we each went to a 9:30 showing. So it was both. They were both evening showings and stuff like that. Yeah. But it was $6 cheaper.
I have home theater system now. I don't know if I'll return with those kinds of prices.
Yeah. See, I'd rather watch it at home.
Well, and with everything coming to streaming service anyways, it's like, all right, I'll just wait a month and then I'll watch it. I'm not going into an office, so no one's going to spoil it for me.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I still enjoy seeing, like that big 80-foot screen, stuff like that.
I don't know how much more, because there's a lot of companies are losing money on the streaming stuff. So I don't know how much more they're going to continue to do the streaming and the dual release.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it. Even if like Disney Plus, how they charge $30 for some of the movies that they've released, but you do $30 and you get 10 people to watch it with you, it's $3 a person versus $16 a person. 30 people go to the theater or something, or 10 people, whatever. But yeah, I'm just saying that the opportunity to make money from streaming is not as great as I think they hope. But
yeah,
I think if they do it where they don't charge extra, I think that can still work out pretty well. Because most people, like with HBO Max and some of the movies that came out there, I'm like, yeah, I'll pay $15 for a month and watch a couple of the movies that normally come out in theater, like Wonder Woman and and the third Conjuring movie and things like that, and Justice League, Snyder Cut, that was worth it. And then they got extra money from me because I forgot to cancel it right away. So I think I paid for like an extra 2 months and without even watching anything. So, and that's where they make their money.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where any streaming or any service like that makes their money, is people forgetting to cancel whenever.
Oh, so talk about streaming. Have you guys watched Squid Games on Netflix?
I haven't yet.
So I haven't either, but there's a game out on Steam called Crab Game. And a guy made it because he saw Squid Games, liked it so much, he said, I need to get this game out before other people do, and I need to rename it so I don't get sued. He made it in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Jeez.
I mean, it's very buggy, and I was watching some guy play, and it's a 2-week game. You can tell it was made quickly. It just to capitalize on the fad, but it works. It looked kind of fun, and he actually made. So apparently, he has a YouTube video documenting his time making the game and everything. And he said, for when you submit a game to Steam, you have to have a trailer. So he recorded himself talking about the game while he was eating a bag of chips, and he put together like a 30-second trailer super fast, and it still got approved by Steam for sale.
Wow.
But the whole thing is hilarious. He did have to do some more work though, because it's an online game with up to 40 people at a time. But he put the networking code together so fast that it wasn't secure, and when people were streaming it, other people were going in and DDoSing them. So he actually sent out some tweets to everybody saying, "Hey, I apologize for the poor network. It's not secure. Give me a few days. I'm going to make it more secure so you can all start streaming again." And then he fixed it.
I kind of love that people were just messing with each other.
Yeah.
It's like if you know someone's streaming,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I'm starting my live stream. Let me see how far I can get before someone gets me.
Yeah. And the
It's
funny
like
thing
an
about
added layer.
and the one thing about with the way he set up the networking is it's all live chat that's in proximity. So if you get close to another player, then they can start hearing what you're saying. So you just hear everybody like getting up to each other. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And everyone's like yelling at each other. It's hilarious to watch though.
That's pretty interesting. Huh.
Yeah. But he put it together in 2 weeks. I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Oh, this dude's going to be like, he's going to make bank on that.
Oh yeah.
Unless he's only charging like 99 cents.
Well, well, actually, I think it's free. I'm not sure how he's even making money off of it right now.
Oh,
But
really?
but he has like 2 million YouTube followers, so he makes all his money from YouTube anyways.
Gotcha.
Mm.
So he did it for the
I think he
YouTube
just
collateral.
Yeah, I think he just did it because of Squid Games is all everybody's talking about. So he put together basically that.
Well, hey, speaking of subscribers, if you haven't, subscribe now.
Exactly. And I think that's probably about time for us.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed the show, be sure to click the thing and to do the thingy and the notification thing.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And for Wheeler or BK Dub down here, he has a game channel. You can see his link in the description. And Duffy has
the name that you guys are seeing, BK Dub 77. That's my YouTube channel. So search for that.
Yep.
I'm also on Twitter. I just tweet usually videos that I send out, so I don't do a bunch of tweeting. But you can find me on Twitter as well.
And Duffy has a blog that will put his link in the description as well. And I think that's it for this week. And we will talk to you guys later.
Hope you all enjoyed it.
Later, everybody.
See ya.